Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, the Yankees continue to spread the holiday cheer, signing starting pitcher Carlos Rodón to a 6-year, $162 million deal. And the Yankees have been rumored to go after him for a while. They finally bring him in to the glee of Yankee fans. So we'll get into the whole deal as well. Give you a little backstory on Carlos Rodón, maybe not too familiar with him. Was with the White Sox for a while, most recently with the San Francisco Giants. Again, we'll analyze the deal. I'll give you my thoughts on it. Plus, look at some of the free agents that the Yankees were considering, such as Andrew Benintendi, who was with the Yankees last season, but of course got injured and missed the rest of the season. He ends up going with the White Sox. We'll kind of look at that deal as well and kind of do something a little interesting this episode. We'll look at some fan reactions from both Yankee fans and just fans in general to the Rodón to the Yankees deal just to see what that is. I'll give you my feedback whether I agree with those or not. We'll get into all that, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So there's an audio podcast version of this show. So if you were already subscribed, you would have gotten my early take on the Rodón deal. So you had to wait a little bit longer to see me, which I appreciate you here. But nevertheless, you want to make sure you get these updates once they come along. So to do that, go wherever you get your favorite podcast. Go Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Subscribe, like, and get notified when new episodes and content go up. So this is almost like a bit of an emergency episode. In the last episode, we got into the big Aaron Judge deal, bringing him back for 9 years, $360 million, kind of went into that. And we kind of figured that'd be a little bit just because, obviously with Christmas and Hanukkah just, currently going around. I think maybe things would be slowed down a little bit. Maybe the Yankees would kind of take the pedal, the foot off the gas pedal a little bit. But nevertheless, the Yankees make the move for Rodón. So I figured it'd be a great opportunity to sort of dissect it, not let too much time go by. So I figured, let's discuss this now. Now, look, we all heard that the Yankees were supposedly working on some mystery deal, and they're trying to figure out what it could have been. Was it Carlos Correa? No. Well, he ends up going with the Giants. Was it going to be a trade for possibly Fernando Tatis Jr. with San Diego? Again, last episode I said probably not, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen anyway. But again, Carlos Rodón did seem like a logical, a target for the Yankees, and it looks like they did finally get his man. So as I mentioned before, it's 6 years for $162 million. So if you want to do the math there, you're looking at $27 million per year. I don't know, is that slightly overpaying for him? Probably, a little bit, just because he doesn't really have a long resume. Now, again, his past 2 seasons have been very good. He's been an all-star for the past 2 seasons. But before that, a lot of, kind of like up and down seasons. Again, 2019, he went in for Tommy John surgery and then kind of tried to come back for 2020. Didn't really throw that much. So he almost had 2 years that were lost there between 2019 and 2020. But his 2021 and 2022 were brilliant. So that's probably why he's getting the big payday. But if you look at him before that, again, the other 6 years before, not that very impressive. Again, he was kind of came up more of a thrower. Now he's kind of fine-tuned himself a little bit. Again, he still throws high 90s, but he's a little bit more of a finesse pitcher. I'd say almost, liking, I won't say exactly Chris Sale, because Chris Sale, if you remember, he's kind of a bit of a sidewinder. He's more, Rodón's more over the top. But the same way that they could, they kind of a little fun. They have the slider to go along with the fastball, and that's kind of how they try to get you out there. So Rodón's kind of like that. When he first came up with the White Sox, he was just more of a thrower, just trying to throw the ball by you triple digits, and that's probably why he ended up having to get Tommy John surgery in 2019. But if you look at, compare with some other pitchers, again, it's like Cole is getting, around the 30 million. And of course, Scherzer is getting 43 million. Verlander's got like 42 million from the Mets. So, if they're getting 40s for him to get, high 20s, I guess that's okay, fair market value. But nevertheless, I think it's a really good deal for the New York Yankees, and I'm going to spell it out why. Number one, it just seemed like the Yankees are getting him on a real good upswing. As mentioned before, before 2021, he wasn't really much of a seen as a really good pitcher. But of course, 21, 22 now, 2 years in a row, he's an all-star, and it seems like he's on the upward trend. He already got the Tommy John surgery in the rearview mirror there, so you kind of feel health-wise this is good. Now, he just turned 30 years old very recently, so when he starts his contract in 2023, he's going to be 30, so you kind of get a 30-year-old for the whole season. And, this is good, when you sign a free agent, if you get him on the better side of 35. Kind of mentioned that in the podcast earlier. How many times do you sign a free agent? It's like you have the guy till he's like 39, 40 years old. It's like, the last couple of years are kind of you teetering a little bit and just wish you never signed that deal. Could happen with Judge, but nevertheless, just kind of an example there. But at least with him, even at the end of his contract, he'll just be 36 years old, which still is pretty good. It's not like you're carrying around some old 40-year-old that's washed up and injured all the time. So in that terms for the Yankees, it's a good deal. Now, if you look at his career-wise, again, the whole resume as a whole, not very impressive. I mean, career-wise, 56 and 46, so just 10 games over 500, and a career ERA of 3.60, so a little under 4. You're not really impressive there. That's because a lot of it, if you look at his early season, just look at the back of his baseball card, again, had a lot of high ERA seasons, again, in his early years with the Chicago White Sox, but more recently tightened it up. Again, last season went 14-8 with a 2.88 ERA, so it's an ERA under 3, and had career highs last season in innings pitched with about 180, and of course with strikeouts with 237. So again, he seems like he's on the upswing, and the Yankees are getting him just at the right time. And of course, for all the right reason, him just being a lefty, pitching a lefty in Yankee Stadium, we know the old adage with that. Again, you always want a lefty, and of course it helps balance out the Yankees starting rotation. Again, as things stood right now, only Nestor Cortez was the only lefty there. Now you at least have two lefties there just to mix it up when the Yankees, throughout the regular season. Of course, they lost Monty last year in the trade with the bring in Harrison Beta. So, right now you finally have two lefties, and of course Rodón is someone you could slot in there. You would see, you would probably put him as your number two. Even though once the regular season happens, it doesn't matter because these guys are mixing all over the place. But of course, you look at Cole number 1, Rodón number 2, Severino number 3, Nestor Cortez number 4, and then Frankie Montas at number 5. And kind of mentioned that in the previous episode. That's kind of how the rotation will round out. And here's this hope Montas, who was kind of a non-factor and a real big disappointment last season. Maybe again start him off fresh in the season in the Yankee uniform. Maybe gives you a little bit more, which I think he would, because I don't think he could be as useless as he was last season for the Yankees. And this is interesting with Rodón. More recently at a Yankees holiday event, they interviewed Aaron Boone. He actually mentioned that Rodón has actually been on the Yankees' radar for quite a while. So they've probably been looking at this guy the past few years, whether just a trade or a free agency or so forth. Now they finally got their man. So it just seems like they have been talking to this guy for a while. They have been looking at him. Now his most recent contract was with the Giants. Last season he signed really a 2-year deal, but he got opted out after 1 year. So of course, having a great season last season, opts out to get himself a longer term agreement with the Yankees, and that seems to be the case. So for the Yankees, it was a great move, and it's really a move you needed to make. Again, bringing back Aaron Judge is key, bringing back Rizzo is key. But again, if you're just the same team as you were last year, that's not really going to wow anybody, and that doesn't get you to the next level past the Houston Astros. Now you add a good high-quality starter there, which helps the Yankees in a number of ways, not only because of the playoffs, but just during the regular season. This is a 99-win team. Now you add something like Rodón to the team like that, so hopefully the Yankees don't have to scramble there or sweat it out in September there to win the AL East. Right now you look at this team amongst all the other teams in the AL East. Clearly the Yankees were favored above them before that, but now adding Rodón, you look at it as they're much favored there, and this now it's going to come down is once they get there, and if everyone stays healthy, can Rodón pitch in the postseason in a Yankee uniform? He's never been put to that test there, and there may be some things you worry about Rodón, only that he doesn't, this season, I mentioned before, he threw roughly 180 innings. Now, for a starting pitcher, you want to be around 200 or more, so the Yankees are going to probably ask him to hit around 200, so something he might not used to. Is that going to cause injuries? We'll see. We'll get into that. But over for the Yankees, this is a move they need to make, and it just helped with the fans, just very positive, just, feel like they're doing something, and they need to do more than just to bring back Judge and Rizzo. So for Yankee fans, they want to complain that Hal Steinbrenner never spends the money, Cashman never spends money. I don't think that's the case. I think when they really want to go after someone, whether it's Garrett Cole a couple of seasons ago, whether it's getting Aaron Judge back, or whether it's bringing Rodón, a 30-year-old left-hander who, again, seems to be really entering his prime, I think they would go after and spend the money there. So, those kind of rumors or thoughts about how, that he's not crazy as, not to spend crazy as his father. I don't think that's the case. Maybe he's not as wild as he's not going to maybe add on 3 layers of cake, but if they really want to go after somebody, they'll go after somebody. And as I previewed earlier, I'll kind of read some fan reactions to the Rodón deal, so it'll be a reaction to the reaction. But of course, there's some other Yankee free agency news out there, and of course, one of the names that possibly the Yankees might have considered bringing back was Andrew Benintendi, and the Yankees traded from last season. Was around for this, basically about a month or so, and was starting to heat up, and then unfortunately, on a check swing, ended up tearing a little small ligament in his wrist there, and missed the rest of the season. And very disappointing, because I think he would have really been good for the Yankees last season. Really could have used him in the postseason. But possibly the Yankees could have brought him back as a free agent, but decided not to. He ended up signing with the Chicago White Sox for a 5-year deal worth $75 million, so making $15 million per year, which, the type of player he is in his resume, and again, he's only 28 years old. That's not really a bad deal. I was kind of mixed feelings on him. I like him as a player. I just felt, when you tear a ligament in your wrist there, I just always worry about that, and I didn't want a situation where, that's going to happen to again this season, so I feel it was a little risky bringing him back. If it was just maybe a 2-year deal, okay, if it's only 2 years, but for the Yankees, I don't mind them. I understand them letting him walk if he could get a 5-year deal somewhere else. If the Yankees would offer him 2 and he'd take it, I would have been okay with that, but wouldn't want the Yankees to try to match or overcome that. But nevertheless, he goes to the Chicago White Sox. But again, he would have been a decent option for the Yankees just because he has a high batting average. He's a Gold Glove caliber left fielder there, left-handed bat, which the Yankees of course need. So that void is still there for the Yankees, and there's still kind of feeling in the air that the Yankees are still going to make a move for left field. But they do have some in-house options. Again, they could just maybe start Oswaldo Cabrera there, which you kind of mentioned which they did last year, so you can have him in there. Maybe once in a while get Stanton out there, just keep him busy, even though they're going to have to protect his legs there because Stanton kind of needs a bit of a bounce-back season. Again, last year was kind of a disappointment. So whatever you can do to keep him healthy, even though mentally he says he's better when he plays the field there, but of course all the pounding on his legs does seem to take a toll, and again, he's now another year older, so you have to watch him there. So the Yankees want to start next year with Cabrera in left field. I'm fine with that, but still seems in the air whether it's a trade or something else. There still might be a move there. You're hearing certain names. Possibly they might be looking at the former Met, Michael Conforto out there. If you get him for a reasonable price, that wouldn't be terrible. Remember when he first came up, they called him like the next Don Mattingly, stuff like that. So just that would be kind of ironic. Of course, a left-handed bat. For Yankee Stadium, you like that. Decent defender, nothing spectacular, but if they would bring in Conforto and we get him like a reasonable 2-year deal, I'd be okay with that. And not that the Yankees would consider bringing him back, but of course I got to mention news of Joey Gallo, who actually got himself a contract. Now, nothing great, but not great in terms of length, but of course in terms of what he's getting paid. So 1-year deal for $11 million to join the Minnesota Twins. Now, I don't really get this signings by the Twins. Obviously, we remember Joey Gallo, the Mr. Strikeout artist, Mr. Under 200. Now, of course, the Yankees traded from last season, went to the Dodgers. I know early on he hit a couple of home runs. He's out of the grind of New York. He's out of the pressure of New York, and now he's a great player. And then right after that, he just continued to do with the Dodgers what he did with the Yankees, a ton of strikeouts. Now, when you combine what he did with the Yankees and the Dodgers last season, batted about 160 with 19 home runs and just 47 RBIs, which, again, that's what he is. If he gets into one, he'll hit it out. Other than that, he's pretty much striking out the entire time. Now, again, to his benefit, he is a Gold Glove caliber defender, so he does that well. I mean, he throws well, has a strong arm. So, he's not like a completely atrocious player. He just doesn't make much contact at all. But nevertheless, the Minnesota Twins decided to bring him in. Still young, 29 years old. So, but I just can't see how he merits $11 million there. So it just boggles my mind there. And plus, with Minnesota, that ballpark, it's quite cavernous. So it's not so easy to hit a home run there. So, he's really going to have to get into one. It's not like Yankee Stadium where you get a lot of cheapies just over the wall there. Even Dodger Stadium is kind of easy for left-handed power hitters. So a little kind of mysterious move there by the Twins. Now, there was supposedly rumored to offer Carlos Correa, who they had on, he opted out, but there was supposedly going to try to bring him back in a franchise record type deal. That didn't happen, so I guess they have some money laying around a little bit, and I guess whatever they decide to bring in Joey Gallo there. So, and you heard a lot of stuff that Joey Gallo kind of reestablished himself last season with the Dodgers and all that stuff. Again, don't see that because if you look at the splits between the Dodgers and the Yankees, he pretty much did the same thing. I think with the Yankees he might have been batting 162, and with the Dodgers he batted like 159 or vice versa. But it was basically about the same type of player, and he really didn't do anything much better when he was with the Dodgers there. Again, it was the same thing. It's just he strikes out a ton of time. But if he gets into one, he'll hit it a mile. But again, it's kind of too far and few between to consistently have him in the lineup. And again, he was just disastrous with the Yankees last season, and thank goodness they got rid of him. And the pitching prospect they got back was actually performing pretty good in the Yankee system there. So looks like a good trade there by Cashman. Now, the only benefit that Gallo might have, as mentioned in some previous episodes, that in 2023, there's going to be some rule changes where you can't do the complete infield shift. So now you have to have two infield defenders on each side of second base there, so that could help Gallo a little bit just because, Gallo's a dead pull hitter and he hit into the shift a million times, so that should help his batting average a little bit, but it doesn't seem like all that much. If you look at Baseball Reference, that website, again, it's pretty much one of the gold standards in baseball. It only projects Joey Gallo hitting about 192, so they still, Baseball Reference, the website still has him hitting under 200. Again, it's just a projection. Doesn't mean what's going to happen. With only 22 home runs and 54 RBIs. So it's only 3 home runs better than he did in total in 2022, and just 7 RBIs better than he did in 2022 there. So even with the shift no longer there, they're only projecting his batting average only be 30 points higher, but it's still under 200. Again, only just a projection, but probably give you an idea that he's not going to go to Minnesota and also turn into like even a 250 hitter. He's probably still going to be struggling around 200 more or less. So that's the Twins decided to do, and we'll see what happens. And with Joey Gallo, again, this is an opportunity for him to sort of showcase himself, a one-year deal. And again, if he does turn out a decent season, maybe then someone will give him a 4 or 5 year contract afterwards. So, got nothing really bad against him, not a terrible guy, because now that he's an American League foe, we got to root against him. And if you happen to have $1.5 million laying around, you possibly could have purchased the Aaron Judge number 62 home run ball. Recently sold by the guy who caught the ball for $1.5 million. And you kind of lost that a little bit because supposedly there was rumors that right after the home run happened, he got an offer somewhere up to $3 million and turned it down. Well, I guess he waited longer trying to think maybe he'll drive up the price. I guess maybe once the craziness and the fanfare of the whole Bezazzard thing kind of worn off a little bit, the value of it went down. He was only able to get $1.5 million from it. Now, it's still profit for him because all he paid for was the seat and I guess maybe a beer or two and some popcorn. So he still wins out, but nevertheless, kind of maybe possibly lost another $1.5 million. If he would have sold it right away for $3 million, obviously would have made much more. So he just has to settle for $1.5 million. But again, supposedly he's like this finance guy. He's rich already, so whatever. He'll probably invest the money. He'll be fine with it. And for the ball itself, number 62, again, they kind of feel that's the real record because the Mark McGwire one, again, 70 feels tainted with all the PED use. Now, McGwire's ball, about 3 or 4 months after he hit it back in '98, that sold for $3 million, which again was the highest amount for a ball at that particular time. Now, of course, once all the allegation stuff from McGwire came out, the value of that ball has plummeted deeply. And again, 2 different auction houses have given it a range anywhere from $250,000 up to $400,000. So that's a loss of over $2 million to whoever originally paid for that ball right now. So the Aaron Judge one right now, $1.5 million. Again, for a lot of people, they feel the Aaron Judge 62 is worth more than the McGwire 70, just because right now people figure Judge did it clean and clean in the right way, which probably did. Again, just you wouldn't hear a whisper like that about Judge, unless something comes out down the road. He has some mystery pill or something he was using that you can't detect like that, which I really doubt. Again, the Aaron Judge bowl probably valued more than McGwire's. So, of course, the big news of the day, as we discussed, Carlos Rodón is a New York Yankee. So for this episode, I figure I want to do something a little different. Of course, there's all different websites with comment boards and so forth. But I figure let me go to Twitter. Of course, obviously Twitter's the news now for a lot of different reasons. And I'll kind of get fan reactions, again, to the Rodón deal. So there'll be some Yankee fans and, of course, some Yankee haters and baseball fans in general. But I figure I'll read their tweets and then maybe give some feedback on a comment, whether I agree with them, disagree with them, why I would disagree with them, and just kind of mix it up a little bit. So technically it's not just my voice and my opinion on this matter here. So I compiled a little list here of kind of my favorite ones, at least ones that stand out to me. So I'll read them to you and then I'll kind of react just to think what I think about that. So we have a magical list here. So, batting off, number 1, we have kind of in a bit of a snarky way, all to lose to Houston. So, someone's probably like, all right, well, you signed Judge, and you bring in Rodón, and you're still going to lose to Houston? Well, okay, I mean, right now you would say Houston is probably the better team on paper, but, what are the Yankees supposed to do? Just sit back? It's like, well, Houston's a better team, so let's just do nothing. I mean, they still got to try to compete. They got to try to get better than Houston. And, again, maybe this move does. I think the Yankees still have to make moves in terms of the lineup. It has to balance it out a little bit. It's kind of a little top-heavy and kind of home run happy. Again, the Yankees did make improvements from 2022 from 2021, so the Yankees are trying to right direction, but they still need more of a balanced lineup. I'd like to get a true leadoff hitter, again, a little bit more contacting, hitting up and down the lineup there, not just have 3 or 4 good guys on top and the rest of the lineup, where Houston Astros pitchers went through them like Swiss cheese there. So, there's improvements to be made, yes, but the Yankees did need to make this move. They need to back up the Judge deal. So, yeah, I don't know if you're better than Houston yet, but obviously much, 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 much closer there. So now we have the second one here. Now this is a positive one in all caps. So that means they're almost like yelling. So that's such a good deal. Holy S word. We can't say that. Let's go. And I'm the same way. I mean, I kind of felt the Yankees were going to make this move, but once it happened, it's like, oh, great, wow. Because, you're still worried about a little bit, where the Yankees are really going to, really double down and go crazy. I mean, we haven't seen the Yankees really, go on a big spending spree, maybe since 2009 when they bought in like Sabathia and A.J. Burnett and Mark Teixeira. That's like the last time they really went nuts. This is probably the second closest to that. There's the money to spend on Judge, bringing in Rizzo. Now this guy, of course, made a small deal for Tom McCanely. But again, the Yankees are really opening up the wallet this offseason more than they've done in quite a while, just in terms of number of different players to bring in. So and the S word, I'm sure you know what that S word is, but it's holy S word. So we'll do that. So here's another one here. By far the best rotation in baseball. It's top there. I don't know if it's the best. I mean, you get some other contenders out there, of course, like the Houston Astros. And as you look at the Mets, I know the couple of old 40-year-old guys, but you got Matt Scherzer and Justin Verlander there, very top-heavy. Now, again, the Mets lost Chris Bassett, who's now with the Toronto Blue Jays, so the Mets still got some pieces to put together. But at least the Yankees, I mean, you got to say at least top 3, top 4 in baseball, so I would go with that one. Here's another one here. We are way better than the Mets now. Okay, I don't know about way better, but I think right now on paper, I meant both, if you want to say just the pitching rotation in general and the bullpen and the team on the field better than the Mets right now. I would say slightly. I'd give the Yankees the edge. Yeah, but it's close. Again, the Mets won more games than the Yankees last season. And again, they did that with, DeGrom and Scherzer missing a lot of time. So you would assume Scherzer is going to pitch more this season for them. They added Verlander, who's probably going to give you more innings for the Mets than they got from the DeGrom. So again, still going to be pretty close. But again, right now, I'd maybe just give the Yankees a slight edge, especially with, I know Edward Diaz is probably a better closer than Clay Holmes, but the total up and down the bullpen, I would favor the Yankees there with the different weapons they have there, and especially bringing back Tommy Kahnle. I like that move there. So here we got one. It's almost like Frankenstein. Cashman is alive. Yes, Cashman is alive. So I know people wanted to, throw him in the East River, send him out on the ferry, shoot him into space after the season ended. But again, as I mentioned, I think when the Yankees target someone, they want to get someone. Cashman makes some moves, and again, I like Cashman as a GM. If they decide to part ways with him after the season, I understand why they would do it, but I was okay with them keeping him, and he does do that again. Signed a 4-year deal, so he's going to be around for at least another 4 years. Thank you, Hal. So looks now everyone loves Hal and Cashman all of a sudden, and then it's LFG Yankees. So it's Let's F Go Yankees. So you know what the F stands for, so we're not going to get into that. This is a family show, by the way. Now this person, it's everybody. So it's not everybody, but I guess the person's too cool to say everybody. So it's everybody hyped up until they get swept by the Stros. Pray for them. Okay, again, it's probably going to be a showdown with the Astros there. Looking at that, I think they're better than the last season. So would they get swept? I don't know. But still, what are the Yankees supposed to do? They got to make moves and bring in Rodón and hopefully see what happens next year. Will they make him shave his chest hair too? Now, if you're not familiar with Rodón, he has a beard there. So you have your Yankee rules. You have to be clean shaven, so they're going to have to shave him. Now, does he have chest hair? I can't attest to that one way or another. Anyway, keeping the ball rolling along here. So, first round exit. Well, I don't say I see this Yankee team as a first round exit team. I mean, right now, obviously, they got past the Cleveland Guardians last season. This is a team that's much better. And, of course, if everything goes the way it should, look like the Yankees will be the AL East champions. Probably going to be around 100 wins. So, again, they're probably going to be in a situation where they'll have the home field advantage in that first round. Again, we don't know what baseball looks like next season, who they'll play, but I don't see how you bring in a really good left-handed pitcher like this and then that equates to a first-round exit. So that's just like an empty kind of statement there. Probably just an angry Met fan or something like that. Massive overpay. Look, it's a lot of money. I wouldn't say overpay. I mean, there's some other gross contracts out there, like, I think like the money that Brandon Nimmo get, that's kind of crazy. Giving Xander Bogaerts an 11-year deal that goes until he's like 41 years old for $280 million. I mean, he's a very good player. Is he almost a $300 million player? I don't know about that. This is like 160 for 6 years. He's only 30 years old, a left-hander. Seems like he's on the upswing in his career there. So I wouldn't say massive overpay. A little bit more, but again, these contracts are all crazy there, so don't agree with that one. Now bring me some bats. Well, it's a good point there. Again, as I mentioned before, the Yankees do need to tweak the lineup. Mainly with a left fielder there and just kind of bring some balance to the lineup somehow. I don't know if they'll pull some deal or something. Maybe, again, bringing a center fielder instead and kind of a speedster there at the top of the lineup. But, again, the Yankees do need to kind of refigure that lineup there because, again, it's not very fluid. It's not very championship level there and it kind of still relies on the long ball. And the Yankees have to find a way to get away from that. LMAO, for you older folks, that means laugh. Well, and there's no curse word in there, so I don't want to say that. He's never repeating his 2022 season. So, Rodón had mentioned he was 14-8 with an ERA of 2.88. Is he going to do that again? I don't know. I mean, again, he's pitching in the American League now, in the Yankee uniform, in the American League East. Again, it's a little tougher than NL Central. So his ERA will probably be around 3. He'll probably be a little bit higher, but I don't see any reason just with his stuff he's not going to be as successful. And I don't think he's going to be a 20-game winner, but if he's around 17 or 18 wins, I can see that. Again, he's going to be pitching on a much better team. He pitched on a team last season, the Giants team that ended up 500. He's now on a much better team that should give him more offense. So, again, I disagree with that statement there. Yanks just won the AL East. Put a lot into that. Again, you have to play the games. We don't know who's going to get hurt. But compared with some of the other moves, I know Toronto brought in some pitching and stuff like that, and brought in Kevin Kiermaier, but I don't think that really trumps what the Yankees done. So again, right now, I would still say the Yankees are in the driver's seat for the AL East. So I do agree with that statement there. And here's an interesting one, just in terms of baseball in general. Baseball is in great shape. It's a little sarcasm here. 4 teams spend serious money, and 90% of the teams have zero chance to seriously compete. Baseball is a joke. Well, look, I think that was the case about maybe a decade or more or so, but in terms of the revenue share now to TV, you see a lot more teams spending. Look what the San Diego Padres are doing right now. They're throwing around tons of money. They're almost willing to give Aaron Judge $400 million. Of course, they gave $280 million to Xander Bogaerts, and again, last year signed that mega deal over $400 million for Fernando Tatis Jr. So again, that's a team of Padres maybe 5 years ago wasn't spending much. Now they're spending oodles of money. Of course, they bought also Machado a couple of seasons ago for $300 million. So there's more, there's more, at least more teams spending money than there used to be. So I don't think it's as bad. And it's not, the Yankees' fault that teams just don't want to spend. Like the Baltimore Orioles, remember in the 90s, they spent a lot of money. They brought in a lot of big-name free agent types in there. So I don't see why they're not spending now. So I don't think that's the Yankees' fault there. Again, we have seen other teams. The White Sox used to be big spenders. They kind of curtailed themselves a little bit. So I don't really think it's a problem with baseball a little bit, but I don't think it's as bad as it used to be. And I just think a lot of owners just don't want to spend their money. The whole mindset now is develop really good young players, pay them peanuts, beat them into the ground, and then when you get, when they're ready for trade them for 4 or 5 good prospects, and rinse, repeat, recycle there. So I don't think it's really a baseball problem. I just think it's owners from the other teams just don't want to spend the big money. My God, I hate the Yankees. Well, I guess I can't blame them if they spend like that. Did the Padres run out of cash? As you mentioned before, the Padres are spending a lot of money, so surprised the Padres didn't take a shot at him because he was pitching out in the NL West there. Now, a lot of Giant fans are actually happy that he's, I guess, not going to the Dodgers, so they'd probably rather see him go to the Yankees, at least go to the American League there. But again, it would have been interesting if the Padres had a shot at him because he's in the division there. They probably would have wanted to steal him away from the Giants there, but I guess whatever reason that wasn't the case. And again, we don't know if the Padres were actually looking to bring in Rodón. Judge, thank you for getting Hal to step up. I don't know if you heard of this, about a week ago, there was a rumor that Judge was kind of forcing Hal to all right, yeah, you bring me back, but we got to really get this team really good. So supposedly putting some pressure on Hal to hey, if I'm coming back, great, but I want some more pieces here. So step it up a little bit, and then of course they make this move for Rodón. Did Judge have an impact on that? I doubt it. I just think it's just more the Yankee organization itself more than Aaron Judge forcing it. I mean, 162 million. That's a lot of money there. And then good luck shaving Carlos. So again, a lot of people worried about Carlos's chest hair and stuff like that. Again, I can't confirm those rumors one way or another. If he does have chest hair, the Yankees are okay with it. You just can't have a beard. So I hope you enjoyed those tweets and my reaction to them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Seems like most fans are concerned about Carlos Rodón shaving, but if when the Yankees got Johnny Damon, if they were able to give him a haircut and a shave, they could do that to anybody, so that shouldn't be a problem. And for the Yankees, they gave the fans what they wanted, a big gift, so you had the gigantic Aaron Judge gift, and now a little smaller Carlos Rodón that end the year with a bang. And it's just kind of ironic that the San Francisco Giants tried to steal Aaron Judge, but it's the New York Yankees that end up stealing Carlos Rodón from the San Francisco Giants. And of course, the Giants kick off the 2023 season visiting Yankee Stadium.